No Flying in the House, Chapter 10. Spring came slowly. Propped among the pillows of a big chair by the nursery window, Annabelle watched the March clouds frolic past the lighthouse. Even when warm fog rolled in from the sea, bringing strange sounds and smells of exotic places beyond the horizon, she felt no desire to join them. Her flying experience seemed so long ago, she wondered if she hadn't dreamed it, until she remembered that there was no Gloria to hop on her shoulder and nuzzle her cheek, or to read aloud to her before bedtime. Mrs. Van Court came to the nursery more often. Occasionally, she even read to Annabelle. Once, when Annabelle was thinking about Gloria, Mrs. Van Court patted her hand. I miss Gloria too, she said. You and Gloria have become my family. Even though she is gone, I will always take care of you. I am very fond of you, my dear. In spite of her good intentions, Mrs. Van Court's busy social season left little time for Annabelle. Miss Peach did her best to cheer the child, but spring cleaning, added to her usual routine, kept her away from the nursery. When she was strong enough to walk on the upstairs balcony, Annabelle sat in the sun looking down on the lawn, a green quilt patched with buttercups, and on the garden where rabbits and pheasants passed each other on the paths. She wondered if she were strong enough to fly down to join them, but she didn't try. The thought of flying and all that had happened before Gloria disappeared made her feel ill again. Beatrice Cox was allowed to make brief visits, but because she didn't like sitting still and playing quiet games, Beatrice usually left before visiting time was up. One day, Mrs. Van Court came home just in time to see Beatrice walking around the second-floor balcony railing, balancing herself with outstretched arms. It was just a show for Annabelle, exclaimed Beatrice when Mrs. Van Court ordered her down. I made her laugh. That Annabelle was so sad bothered Beatrice. Funny stories about Miss Clements and school that Annabelle would have shouted over before she got sick now brought only a quiet smile. Maybe Gloria went to visit your mother, suggested Beatrice one day when the smell of lilacs filled the house and she and Annabelle were on the terrace playing old maid. She'll come back in time to take you to the beach. Annabelle shook her head. Gloria loved me. By now she would have come back if she could. When my mother comes, she'll explain why Gloria left me. Privately, Beatrice believed Annabelle was an orphan, but she asked, do you think she'll come soon? Annabelle frowned. Even Miss Peach was beginning to doubt that she had parents. Gloria always said my parents would return someday. Beatrice refused to believe that Gloria could talk, but having orders not to argue with Annabelle, she suggested, maybe Gloria went to get them. There's so much I don't understand, said Annabelle, thinking of the gold toy with the diamond eyes in the drawing room. She was able to look at it now without crying. Ever since that cat told me I was part fairy and taught me to fly, nothing's been right. Beatrice shuffled the cards and dealt. She knew Annabelle couldn't fly. Even if they don't come back, she said, holding up her cards for Annabelle to choose one. Even if Gloria has gone forever, Mrs. Van Court will take care of you. Annabelle chose a card. She is kind, but she and Miss Peach don't have much time for little girls. I get terribly lonely. When Mrs. Van Court isn't going out, she's entertaining. Even when Miss Peach finds time to read to me, it isn't like having a real mother. Gloria was like a real mother. Beatrice covered her smile with her cards. Annabelle had the wildest ideas. Gloria couldn't have been like a real mother. When my parents come, Annabelle continued, I won't be lonely anymore. I hope they will be as nice as yours. I want my father to toss me in the air and play, and I want my mother to comfort me and hold my hand and tuck me in at night. You're lucky, Beatrice. Beatrice thought for a moment. Parents are okay, she admitted, but Annabelle, if you ever get any, you'll have to forget the stuff about being a fairy and flying. Everybody believes in fairies, but believing that you are one? Well, I know my father wouldn't put up with that 1 minute. After Beatrice went home, Annabelle wandered out to the kitchen. It was Cook's afternoon off, and the refrigerator's quiet hum was the only sound. On the kitchen table sat the big glass cookie jar, half full of sugar cookies. Unscrewing the lid, Annabelle reached in and helped herself. Just then, the newspaper Cook had left on the table began to crackle. Something was moving it. Annabelle drew back, hoping it wasn't a mouse. Like a rocket, The something came bursting through the front page, landing squarely on the table in front of Annabel. She blinked, nonchalantly as though it had never been away. The golden cat with emerald eyes looked up at her. Belinda! You know my name? The cat walked over to the cookie jar and sat down. Gloria must have told you. Poor thing. She was always jealous of me. You know, she didn't want you and me to become friends. You're wicked, said Annabel loyally, remembering that Belinda was Gloria's enemy. You're not supposed to talk to me. The cat swished its tail. Jealousy drove Gloria to say unkind things about me. Have I ever hurt you, my dear? Didn't I tell you about being a fairy and teaching you to fly? You weren't supposed to. When I learned to fly, Gloria was very unhappy. That's when she went away. Do you know where she went? Isn't she in the drawing room cabinet? The golden dog in there wears her collar. That isn't Gloria, said Annabel. She was sure of it. Suit yourself, said the cat. But it appears to me that Gloria tried one trick too many and got stuck. She was always showing off. What about you? Have you been flying? No, said Annabel. I've been sick. Too bad, said the cat. Flying's such fun. If you're feeling better, why don't we spin out to the lighthouse and back? You mean now? Fly? Way out there? The cat laughed. Well, I'm not much of a swimmer. What's the fun of knowing how to fly if you can't go to exciting places? Tomorrow, if you're feeling up to it, we might go up to Canada. Annabel had always wanted to go out to the lighthouse, but she didn't trust Belinda. Any enemy of Gloria's had to be her enemy, too. Without taking her eyes off the cat, Annabel reached into the cookie jar for another cookie. Paying no attention, the cat sat there swishing its tail. Carefully, Annabel reached again towards the cookie jar, all the while smiling at Belinda. This time, before the golden cat could suspect her movement, Annabel grabbed it and threw it in the cookie jar. In a twinkling, she screwed the lid on tight. Now for a few questions, she exclaimed, peering through the glass jar at Belinda. The cat stood on the pile of cookies, looking back at her. Suddenly realizing what Annabel had done, she bared her little teeth and screamed. Quiet, commanded Annabel. I'll let you out when you answer my questions. Why did you tell me I was a fairy and teach me to fly when you knew Gloria had orders never to tell me? Again, the cat screamed at her, its emerald eyes rolling crazily. Answer me, warned Annabel. From past experience, she was worried that it might collapse into pieces and disappear, but for all its powers, it now appeared to be her prisoner. Why did you teach me to fly? Steam shot out of the cat's ears. It made terrible faces, all the while rising slowly to the top of the jar. Bravely, Annabel picked up the cookie jar and shook it. Inside, there was a wild scramble of cat cookies and crumbs. Belinda shrieked, Let me out! You're getting sugar all over me. If you want me to talk, let me out. Annabel gave the jar another good shake. Again, the cat shrieked, Sugar destroys me! Stop that shaking! Annabel watched the cat rise again above the pile of broken cookies, brushing itself free of crumbs. It sat under the lid on nothing, its little emerald eyes flashing fire. Stupid, it spat at her. When I taught you to fly, I was trying to help you. Gloria doesn't understand children. She wanted to keep you mortal forever, when everybody knows being a fairy is much more fun. Suspecting the cat was holding back part of the truth, Annabel picked up the jar again. Wait, cried the cat, going up and down in the jar like an elevator. The truth this time, warned Annabel. I always tell the truth, said Belinda, again settling near the lid. But there is more. When the king exiled your parents, that meddling Gloria intervened. She begged him for their release until he promised to set them free if his daughter's firstborn child became immortal by the time it was 7. Was I the firstborn? Why else would Gloria have brought you here to the mortal world to live for 7 years in ignorance of your powers? It was the only way she could have saved Felicia, since she had given the king her word never to tell you of his promise. Of course, once you discovered fairy powers, you would be made to choose between being a mortal or a fairy. Gloria knew the king believed no fairy child would give up its fairy powers to be immortal. She knew her only hope of saving Felicia was to trick you into believing you were immortal. Then, when the 7 years were up, Felicia and her mortal husband would be free. It was terribly unfair of her, don't you think? Annabel frowned. The cat talked so fast she wasn't sure what to think, but she kept remembering that Gloria had said it was her enemy. I came to help you, it said. If you'll open the silly jar, we can fly out to the lighthouse. What wonderful things I can teach you. How to turn yourself into a gull or a butterfly. Would you like to ride on a camel or an elephant or swing with the monkeys through the top of the jungle? We can explore the oceans with the flying fish, make snowballs on the top of the highest peaks, and ride with the winds into the stars. All the adventures that Annabel had dreamed of when she was trying to be a fairy came rushing back to her. She began remembering how it had felt to swoop through the house, zooming up and down the stairs, and to take off from the roof to land in the garden. What fun she had had that morning before Mrs. Vancourt discovered Gloria in the drawing room cabinet. Suddenly, remembering that morning, Annabel's heart began to ache. In spite of what Belinda had said, she knew Gloria did not intend to harm her. For a moment, she sat thinking, and if I don't go with you, if I stay here and become immortal forever, will my parents be free? You can't be serious, said Belinda. What a price to pay for parents you can't even remember. My dear, on their little island, they not only have everything they need, they also have each other. Annabel thought some more. Gloria had said Belinda had no heart, that she didn't understand the power of the heart. Belinda couldn't love. You'll never be able to fly again, warned the cat. Once you make the choice, it's made forever. Through the window, Annabel could see gulls wheeling above the cliffs, fishing for their dinner. When night comes in the jungle and I'm tired of swinging through the trees with the monkeys or riding on an elephant's back and I get scared, who will hold me close? And when I get sick, who will hold my hand or tuck me in or kiss me goodnight? You make a fairy's life sound very grand, but Gloria said it's lonely sometimes. I don't like being lonely. Pish posh, said the cat. You'll be too busy to get lonely. Remembering that the cat was Gloria's enemy, Annabel began to unscrew the cookie jar lid. As much as I would enjoy being a fairy occasionally, for every day, I'd rather be a plain little girl with parents like Beatrice Cox. Opening the jar, she placed the cat back on the table. She even dusted some sugar off its back. The cat backed away beyond reach. You won't be able to fly, even up the stairs, it warned. For the rest of your life, you'll have to climb thousands and thousands of stairs. Annabel didn't care. She smiled. If I can have a father who will toss me in his arms and play, and a mother who will kiss me when I come home from school and fix me milk and cookies, then I don't mind climbing 1,000,000 stairs. Tell your king, my mind's made up. If I can have my parents back, I'll give up being a fairy forever and ever. Belinda's golden face slowly turned to the glowing red-hot metal. She clawed the table. Steam shot from her ears. Stupid, she screeched. Watching this performance, Annabel wondered if Belinda would fall apart before her eyes. In a moment, Belinda's face cooled to a tarnished gray. Then, without another word, she turned away and disappeared over the edge of the table. And that's the end of chapter 11. One more chapter. Actually, that was the end of chapter 10.